Hey, y'all, listen, welcome into the building. Happy Juneteenth. I actually had a Juneteenth shirt on today because I went to my book club meeting and we celebrated Juneteenth. But I took it off. But y'all know what? You wouldn't have been able to see the logo on it anyway in the frame of this screen. But I had a really good day today and I am stuffed. Okay, I'm stuffed. Just had a really good book club meeting today. But listen, y'all, welcome in the building. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending this Thursday with the Diva. We got stuff to talk about. Before I get into today's situation, well, today's trending topic is simple. The title is simple. It's called Men. 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 They just don't get it. Men. Listen, I'm going to try to pull this case, but I'm being told that this Tyler Perry situation is bad. Bad. That he allegedly preyed on this young man a lot. Oh, God. And I'm going to say this too, just like we said to the ladies. I don't understand why nobody wants to go to the police, go to the authorities. But either way, it's being alleged that Tyler Perry did the most. But we talked about Tyler the other night. I'm going to see if I can get this case so we can look more into all that is being said. But tonight's title is called Men. And so Al Sharpton, he feels that the feds do target black men. He said it's a real thing. We're going to talk about it. My thing is, somebody could target you, but if you don't give them any ammunition, it's going to be but so much they can do. If the speed limit says 65 and I'm doing 55, they could target me, but I'm doing 55. So, I mean, you can't give them the breadcrumbs for them to pick up, because then you're going to be an easy target. But we'll talk about it. Listen, Tyrone Blackburn strikes again. He has a client now that is suing Fat Joe, accusing Fat Joe of coercion, labor law, all kinds of stuff. But what I don't understand is how he put in his lawsuit about some girls, underage girls, that Fat Joe allegedly violated. If you are not Diva and Fat Joe violated Diva, how do you get to write my name and my information in your lawsuit? It's similar to Wendy Williams' husband talking about he a friend suing on behalf of Wendy Williams, and Wendy Williams is like, I don't got nothing to do with you no more. Go sit down somewhere. I don't need you suing for me. Tyrone does the most. And that's why he can't be respected, in my opinion, as a lawyer. Stick to the facts. Keep it clean. Work with your client. Your client is mentioning stuff that happened to people and they're not even suing. Let your client sue for what he needs to sue for. Tyrone does too much. Then it minimizes the stories of real victims. Tyrone's a joke. And I know his law school is looking at him like, Tyrone, come on. And then we're going to end, unfortunately, this Georgia father starved his 4-year-old to death. He's spending the rest of his life in jail. I think they said he can get up to 175 years or something like that. Starved his daughter to death. You know, they said it takes a village. And he did it. But I gotta ask, where was the mother? Where was the grandparents? Where was the aunties, the uncles? Little girl gone by the hands of her own father. Listen, guys, it's late. Y'all know what I need. I need a what? I need a choo-choo. All aboard, everybody. It is Thursday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is simple. It's called Men. Are black men being targeted? Well, Al Sharpton said it is so. We got Fat Joe being accused, and we got the Georgia father found guilty, taking his own daughter's life by starvation. Oh, poor thing. Hey, Savannah.
Hey,
Looks like it's gonna be me and you. We're gonna get into this, okay? I'm gonna start with Al Sharpton. You know, Al Sharpton said it's a real thing that the feds do target rich black men. So let me go ahead and share screen and let's get into this. So Al Sharpton, he said the feds target rich black folks. He said it's no conspiracy. He's saying it's a real thing. So many people are saying that now. They're saying, you know, that the rich people, the rich black people are target and they're being targeted. But I say this, you if you leaving them something to work with, then you leaving them something to work with. Al Sharpton says, for as long as this country has been around, wealthy, prominent black folks have been targeted because the feds see them as easy targets. Okay, we're going to take a listen real quick to Al.
a lot of our powerful black men, and they're in the news. And there's been an ongoing conspiracy theory that there's an agenda to take down rich black men. What do you say to that theory?
I think that as long as we have seen this country, that blacks that have been prominent and now wealthy and prominent have been targeted because it's easy to go after them. I think we've got to be very balanced and say that we're not going to believe every accusation given against somebody, but at the same time, we need to hold them accountable. If there is evidence of them doing wrong, they should not use their wealth and celebrity in our community to justify some misbehavior. So I've not said some things about some cases because the evidence bothers me, but others are just, in my opinion, just scam artists trying to take advantage. So I think that the price you pay for being wealthy is you have to behave like somebody under the spotlight. Nobody should think that they get immunity and that we ought to run to the barricades to support you. But if you are being wronged, I'm the first one there.
Do you think that this year's Juneteenth celebration is even more significant given the migrant protests that we recently experienced or have witnessed, rather?
I definitely think this year's Juneteenth takes on new meaning as we see uh, people of color and particularly Haiti, South America, Mexico, hit with a travel ban. While they brought 59 whites in from South Africa, claiming there was white genocide going on in South Africa, that no one's been able to find. Even Fox News hasn't found the footage of that. So it takes a particular meaning because it reminds us of how blacks stayed in slavery 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation unjustifiably because they were not aware they were free and the Union Army had not come in and rescued them. Here we are with elected officials, mayors, city controllers, senators being pushed around, all around this issue, arrested around this issue. I think that that makes today a real significant reminder that we're not where we should be yet in this country.
Let me just pause that. Uh, okay. So Al Sharpton says, for as long as this country has been around, wealthy, prominent black folks have been targeted because the feds see them as easy targets. We got Al out in New York City on Thursday and asked him about a popular online conspiracy that Sean Diddy Combs and Tyler Perry are being targeted right now because they are rich and famous black men. Al says race, wealth, and fame are big factors when it comes to who the feds go after. And he says there are tons of examples to back it up. He said, don't get it twisted. Al says Diddy and Tyler shouldn't be blindly defended just because they are black. But he does say their race puts a target on their backs, right? But, as I stated, like Al stated, pretty much you can't give them ammunition to work with. Diddy's in the middle of a federal criminal trial, and Tyler was just sued for SA and harassment. And Al says folks need to look at the evidence. We also asked about Juneteenth, and he told us why some recent events around the country are giving the federal holiday a lot more significance. Okay, so wait, I'm going to play Tyler Perry.
He's got the whole world in his hands. Got the whole world in his hands. Hey, I'm just sitting here on my porch just looking. What am I looking at? I'm looking to the hills from whence cometh my help. For my help, some of y'all know the rest. Um, I just wanted to come on and just tell everybody, just be as calm as you can.
We calm, Tyler. We the ones that don't need a lesson on to be calm. You do, sir. Savannah, your thoughts?
Oh boy, talk about right message, wrong messenger. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. And oh heaven. I agree in some parts with what Al Sharpton is saying. However, his hands aren't clean either. If I'm not mistaken, Al has also been in some legal issues with the law, from not paying taxes to also pushing up on women that have worked with him or have been in spaces with him, whether it comes to interviews. Um, and so I think that and I told my friend the other day, I was like, Cat Williams not only opened Pandora's box, he
Mm,
kicked that sucker down the steps. And everything is falling out. I
mm,
mean, has been nonstop since what was it, February 2024. We
mhm.
have been busy with, I mean, curtains are coming down, windows are being open, and we are finally seeing some of the insight that these people who we grew up with, and some how as role models, and how dysfunctional, and it's just straight madness behind that curtain. So um, I think Cat Williams is somewhere just having a cigar and laughing that he exposed this industry that is full of um, and I don't think while right now a lot of the black powerful rich men are in the media, just last year or the year before, we had the Weinsteins. The Abercrombie and Fitch guy is still out there, although he's not getting the media coverage as the Diddy case. And that's why I agree with Reverend's statement. However, his hands aren't clean either, and that's where I side eye. And then to throw Tyler in the mix, singing a church hymn. I mean, sometimes they ask for the scrutiny of the federal government by just their arrogance. So
Mhm.
uh, I think many more are gonna fall, Diva. I think we're gonna be busy um, till it's gonna continue throughout December with this madness, because Tyler's next, and I think we'll be looking at a Jay-Z, 50 Cent. There's gonna be and Kanye. more people are going to be exposed here.
Yeah. Ooh. Lady Love, your thoughts?
Hey Diva, hey panel, hey chat. Um, I do agree with Al Sharpton. I
Mhm.
do believe that there's a thing going against these black rich men. I really do. Yes, they put themselves in this situation. These people are waiting for them to make a mistake so they can take their money from them. They waiting on this and they put themselves in this situation every time. You know, they was talking about the thing with Bill Cosby. This stuff happened back in the 70s, early 80s, or whatsoever. And he wanted to buy CBS. All of a sudden, these allegations comes out. Tyler Perry owns these studios out there in Atlanta. I haven't seen a black person did that before, but he's done it. Puffy, yeah, you help the people with a lot of careers and whatsoever, and you living off the backs of those people. So they're coming back for that money from you too. And of course, we know we got Smokey Robinson. They coming back for your money as well. So I see exactly what Al Sharpton is saying, but yet still, these men got to be smarter than what they're doing. These people sit around and wait for you to make those mistakes so they can go after your money. You made it, but they want it the easy way. And I see them themselves putting themselves in those situations just so they can come after you and get your money. So if these people are not smart as they say they are, then yeah, you are putting yourself in that situation. And they want that money. That's what they're groomed to do. You have to look at Black Wall Street. Black people had it going on in Oklahoma. They got mad about it. They had their own banks, their restaurants, their barbershops. They had everything they needed in their own community, their own banks. But what happened? All that got burned and sent away. We have um Lake Martin, Alabama. That was a black community. They got flooded out. It's a whole little black town under that lake. It's just so much going on in like for Juneteenth, that situation. But I really do agree with what he's saying. But these people got to be smarter and not put themselves in those situations so they can't be sued for their money. But that's all I got.
Felicia, your thoughts?
Well, hey everybody. I hope you had a good Juneteenth. I was there slaving away, so ain't much change over here. I was working hard. Reverend Al and I go way back, way back. And I know Reverend Al don't make comments without reason.
Mm.
He's a man of intent, and he's a man of great strategy. Now, some of you know that I have sons, and I would not profess who my sons may or may not be when it comes to their personal, intimate relationships. But I want to trust that their father and I raised them to be decent men, honorable men, who know how to be fair and to treat women and others with respect. Now, in my time, I personally have marched with Reverend Al. I've had dinner with Reverend Al. I've been down to the Supreme Court with Reverend Al. I've never, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, I never heard about him pushing up on nobody, male or female. I know Reverend Al got a girlfriend. One time, she did a little story in the New York Post. Well, that was one time too many. We ain't see her since, okay? I know him to be such a wonderful father. Raised two amazing daughters to be women who are clear in their purpose, very much community minded. So when I hear about him pushing up, somebody come talk to me backstage, because I don't know about it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Not saying it didn't happen. Yeah, he had a problem with his taxes. He was an FBI informant wearing a $2 cowboy hat back in the day. Yeah, he was. But he also took a knife to the chest. We almost lost him out in a march right here in Brooklyn. out there in Bensonhurst, child. People wanted to kill him. You know, when we see with these families that have lost loved ones in tragic ways, he's not running out there to go just be with the family because he don't have anything else to do. He gets called to be with these families. They ask him to come. I want you all to think about who else you see with these families. Who else did you see with Mrs. Gardner when they took Eric Gardner's life in a chokehold because he had some Lucy cigarettes? And if you ever watch the National Action Network on a Saturday, because they live stream, you'll see Mrs. Gardner right there. The women of the movement, they come out of South Carolina. They're a very strong political movement. Guess who brought those women together? And they're all women, beautiful women. I didn't hear, because I've been in their company. I didn't hear nobody saying Reverend Al pushing up on them. And just for a fact, I don't think Reverend Al over 5'6". Okay? And if he weighed 140 pounds, I think I might have got it about right. Okay? So for him tonight, I'll stand in the stand and speak on the man I know. And what he said is important because somebody must have gone to him and said, we need you to comment on what is happening with this criminal court system in this country. And that's why he made a comment. He's with a lot of quote unquote celebrities. People call him every day. He eat and hang out with everybody. You may think he don't because of media, but I tell you he does. And when Barack Obama was president of the United States, he sure enough was up there playing bid whist with Barack Obama's mother-in-law, okay? And I was begging to go through the back door of the White House to get in a card game. All right? So no. And I'm glad he made a comment because our host and our content creator has been talking about the circus that's going on at 500 Pearl Street in Lower Manhattan.
Come on now, talk.
And maybe somebody needs to come out and say something because we haven't heard anything from anybody else, have we? Haven't heard anything from anybody else. We got a juror, got vertigo, one who's communicating with folks that you're not supposed to be talking to, somebody that lived in the Bronx, maybe permanently or not permanently, they're gone. We got people up there lying and the judge say it's okay. We saw what happened to Jonathan Majors in that same courtroom. He was running away from that white woman. And they gave him a year and I think 4 out of 5 days a week, he had to go into therapy. So I believe his statement is valid. I agree with him. And I'm glad he said something. Let's wake some folks up and pay attention to what's going on because tomorrow is day 26 of this trial. And we still have not heard from the minors, the minor children. We're waiting for the prosecution to bring in the minors. Okay? Bring them in so that we can get justice for these children. And if you don't have them, you need to start talking about what you don't have. And stop trying to play into people's space and mentally manipulate people into thinking what you used to say is what you're saying now in the courtroom.
That part.
I'm done, Diva. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, I do believe that rich black men are a target. You know, but if you don't want to be a target, don't make yourself a target. Okay. Now, we already know that blacks aren't treated and aren't given the same, you know, sentences and get treated fairly like white folks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By now, you would think they would know that. You can't do the same thing that Harvey Weinstein did. You can't do the same thing that all these other people did.
You better talk to the people.
Because they looking.
Right.
You're giving them a reason. And my thing is that when you have all this money, I know sometimes people, some celebrities say that I'm not not a public figure, but you know, people look up to you. You know,
A role model.
A role model.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when much is given, much is required.
That part.
Okay, you have to stand in the gap for those younger black men, young black men, women, whatever, coming up behind you. They have to have an example. Okay, and you've got yourself to a position that you can be an influence. Be an influence on something positive, not be an influence on using drugs, not be an influence on how many women you can run.
You better talk to the people, Wayne.
Okay, this should be a debt of gratitude to these people. Instead of going out to see how much bad stuff I can get away with, how many people I can abuse, how many people I can suck in, or whatever. Okay, you have to be that beacon of light on a hill that these young people can see. When they start emulating white folks, what you gonna do? Okay, and it's not just black men, but black women as well. We all have to stand in the gap because we got another generation that's going to have to be looking out for us. Okay, we need black folks need doctors. We need black doctors. We need black lawyers to stand in for us. Okay, why is it that black women in child delivery, childbirth, are lost more frequently than their counterparts? Okay, I thought I heard a statistic not long ago that black people live longer when they got black doctors. So all I'm just saying is that these people, you have money, you have everything. Granted, I know you said, well, I don't want to be a role model, none of that, but you need to be. You need to be a productive member of society to bring these people up. So they have some young people up, the next generation, so they have something to look forward to. They have to look forward to maybe going to college, maybe being an entrepreneur and going out there being productive. Whatever they're going to do, whatever they decide to do, that they take pride and interest to do a good job well and move forward and bring it up for the next generation behind them. Okay, just because John Doe over here do something and got away with it, don't mean you can do the same thing, because it's not going to turn out the same way it is for that person over there. So I think we all have have to have a debt of gratitude to the people coming up behind us, because if not, it's not going to look pretty for us. I'm done.
Ooh, I appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and roll right into the next story. You know, the darkness is amongst us. And you said something, Wayne, we got to stay in the light and be the light. Because now Tyrone Blackburn, he strikes again. If you don't know who he is, Google him. He's a lawyer that when he files his lawsuits for his clients, he definitely puts 20 on 10. Now, it's a man suing Fat Joe for forced labor, coercion, and all this other stuff. But they tell several stories of Fat Joe's personal life and allegedly being with minors and paying for minors and flying minors here and there. What that got to do with you? If those minors are at the time, maybe they're adults now, at the time they was a minor and they have a problem with Fat Joe, let them put their lawsuit. How you going to tell somebody else's story? But this is the foolery that Tyrone Blackburn does. I don't know what Fat Joe did or did not do, but the foolery of Tyrone Blackburn is like, enough is enough already. He be doing too much. So Fat Joe is accused of engaging in sex acts with minors in an explosive $20 million lawsuit. Let me pause that. Fat Joe was accused of engaging in sex acts with minors in a bombshell $20 million lawsuit filed by his ex-hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon. Dixon alleged that he personally witnessed Fat Joe, and you didn't go to the cops? You saw somebody violating minors, and you didn't go to the cops? I need for the feds to start looking at these people that claim they saw these things and holding them responsible. So Fat Joe was accused of engaging in sex acts with minors in a bombshell $20 million lawsuit filed by his ex-hype man, Terrence T.A. Dixon. Dixon alleged he personally witnessed Fat Joe engage in sex relations with children who were 15 and 16 years old, according to court documents obtained by Page 6 on Thursday. Where are the police? This man, Terrence, he needs to be spoken to. So you watch minors get violated and you didn't say nothing in real time? Dixon claimed that the hitmaker, who has vehemently denied the allegations, was involved with a 16-year-old Dominican female who would allegedly perform oral and other sex acts on Fat Joe in exchange for cash, clothing, and payment of her cell phone bill. Dixon also listed a Caucasian girl, not from the U.S., that Fat Joe, now 54, allegedly started having sexual relations with following their concert overseas when she was 15, according to the lawsuit. The techno producer claimed that the lean-back rapper flew the girl to New York City and Miami on numerous occasions. So he's accusing Fat Joe of sex trafficking. Because we learned from the Diddy trial, it is just that simple. If you fly Diva from LA to New York or New Jersey with the purposes of having some sexual relations, you have trafficked me. He also alleged in the lawsuit that Fat Joe paid for the minor to undergo a Brazilian butt lift since her body wasn't fully developed as a woman. According to the court docs, the girl eventually left the defendant and is now married to a professional athlete. Why are you telling her business and she has not? Lastly, Dixon listed a Latina who he alleged Fat Joe met when she was 15 years old and he was in his late 30s. Per the filing, the What's Love crooner was in love with the girl and allegedly considered leaving his wife Lorena for her. Fat Joe, born Joseph Antonio, who allegedly paid for the girl's bills and took her overseas with him on tour. He brought her to Florida and would put her up in a condo he rented a few blocks from his house with his wife, the filing alleges. So he's alleging that this man also did the Kevin Hunter, had the mistress a few blocks away from the wife. Dixon, who worked with Fat Joe from 2006 to 2019, also accused the All the Way Up rapper in a lawsuit of coercive labor exploitation, financial fraud, sexual manipulation, violent intimidation, and psychological coercion. He claimed in the court documents that he was consistently underpaid, denied songwriting credits, and deliberately concealed from royalties and back-end compensation. Dixon is also suing Pete Pistol Pete Torres, Richard Rich Player, Josepha Erica Juliana, Sneaker Addict Touring LLC, Slate Inc., and Rock Nation LLC, among others. He described himself as being a lyricist, background vocalist, security team member, and creator collaborator for Fat Joe. Fat Joe attorney Joe Tocopina denies the allegations against the Grammy nominee, alleging to Page 6 that Dixon's lawyer Tyrone Blackburn improperly filed cases in federal court to garner media attention embarrass defendants with salacious allegations and press defenses. Tokopina claims that Blackburn has received warnings from judges in the past because his filings were replete with inaccurate statements of law, full of similar irrelevant insults, misstatements, and exaggerations. Tokopina claims that he's spoken to the woman Dixon claimed were victims, and they denied any wrongdoing on Fat Joe's behalf. They made it clear that some of them don't even know Fat Joe, he claims. Blackburn wasn't immediately available to pay $6 for a comment. Blackburn needs to lose his license at this point. In May, Fat Joe filed a lawsuit against Dixon after the latter accused him of being a PD online. According to the documents obtained by Page 6, Fat Joe claimed the allegations were a money grab, recounting how he generously paid Dixon and his ex-employee enjoyed the prerequisites of touring, luxurious travel, and other fringe benefits of a world-renowned musicians team. Fat Joe alleged that Dixon never raised any issues or sought any additional compensation since they amicably parted ways 6 years ago. Blackburn responded to Fat Joe's lawsuit to TMZ at the time, saying it was a baseless lawsuit in an effort to soften the blow of what's to come. It won't work. Fat Joe has a lot of explaining to do. Oh, my goodness. Savannah, your thoughts?
This is just getting exhausting, and I agree with Blackburn losing his license, or he needs to come under federal scrutiny as well as to his practices. I've heard some of the lawsuit because I believe it's over 130 pages long what he detailed out and what he filed. This is a really long lawsuit that he did mention 3 underage girls, but there was also a mention of some type of surveillance video. So there has to be video of these incidents of SA. And then I recalled him, someone in another platform said that Dixon was coerced to participate to acts that he did not give consent to. So I'm not understanding if he did it, he participated in some of these essays against the young girls or other parties, additional freak offs or entertainment nights, whatever they call them. So it didn't go into detail, and I didn't stick around for 100 and something pages of allegation. I don't know. This is just getting worse and worse. I do recall Joe when he was out there with Big Pun. There was a lot of underage girls around them. I've been to a couple of their concerts during that time, and there was quite a bit, a crowd of young girls around that scene. I forgot what they were called, but there was a group like Rock Nation and things like that. So I don't know. The Fat Joe is not one that's out in. I mean, besides him being somewhat ignorant, I don't follow him and I don't agree with a lot that he says. But he's not out there trolling or being like a 50 Cent or has this type of reputation. So I hope that, because he's suing not only the person, but he's also going after Tyrone Blackburn as well. So this one's going to be interesting. I told you, Diva, you're going to be busy for quite a while. So buckle your seatbelts. This train is going to get bumpy.
Woo, child. Katrina, your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts are: what are kids' moms? They 15. You just letting your child fly out. You don't know where your child going. I mean, come on. Where's the mom? And my second thing is, You saw these kids doing so you say you saw them doing this and engaging in that. So you just told on yourself as well. Cause you was an accomplice, because you watched it. You if that was
Mhm.
if they was there being S8 or was ST or traffic or whatever, you accomplished too, fool. Cause you sent up and told on yourself. If you seen it and you didn't say nothing, did you partake in it as well? I'm so sick of these. Oh my God. I'm not saying the stuff didn't happen. I don't know. I knew Fat Joe, he had went bankrupt. He had lost all his money. So what condominium he putting this girl up in? Because he didn't have no money for a while. He had went bankrupt. He had to gain all his money back. And I ain't saying that he didn't do this. And what doctor is performing BBLs on a child that's 15 years old? Their body is not even fully formed. I mean, that doctor, if he did do that, his license needs to be taken. This is so much. And he keeps saying they flew these people out. Where these kids' parents? They 15 years old. And this is another thing. Why do these okay? We was young. We did stuff we ain't had to do, no business doing it either whatsoever. Trying to be growner. Because my mama always told me, she said, when you get grown, you're gonna wish you was a child again. But the thing of it is, these young girls hanging around these people because they want the lifestyle. He paid my phone bill and gave me money for clothes. You a cheap date. What I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that they did all this, and then no man has no right to take advantage of these girls or whatsoever, if it's so-called true, allegedly, put it that way, allegedly, because we don't know if this true. But like I said before, if you sat around and seen him doing all this, you just made yourself an accomplice. So the police need to be knocking at your door as well. That's all I got, Diva.
Thank you. Felicia, your thoughts?
Thank you, Diva. I'm somewhat confused. So the the young girls mentioned in this lawsuit are not suing
No,
Mr. Joe.
no.
They have not filed any kind of complaints or anything.
Mm-mm.
This other person was an artist. He also did security. He's a lyricist, and he didn't get paid. And what is he asking for? This person, this Dixon person,
He's asking for 20 million.
because he wasn't paid as a security guard. What?
He wasn't paid properly in all the 90 jobs that he did.
And he worked with him for 12 years, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
12 years. So he was free labor.
Mm-hmm. So he says.
And he did a multitude of things. Because what does he mean when he says he's a lyricist? What is that? Is that a Rodney Jones
No,
situation?
that means that he writes their lyrics. He writes their
Okay.
songs. Yeah.
So that's a little bit like what Rodney Jones was doing, right? Or
Uh-huh.
producing or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he was babysitting the kids. He was carrying the two-seat. He was going to the clubs and getting the people to know that Mr. Combs was in town, right? And he went to live with him. And according to Mr. Joe's statement, he said that this Mr. Dixon was afforded a very luxurious lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Flew here, there, and everywhere with him, and stayed in all the best places as a musician. I thought he said, as a musician, he said. So I'm wondering if this is the Tyrone Blackburn template. Sounds a lot like Little Rod's to me. There's something that sounds very familiar. No, it's not the same, but I'm very close. I did all these things, I had all these, and I was supposed to get paid. I didn't get paid. And then Little Rod called out Jane Doe and Carisha Young Miami in his lawsuit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He identified them in the lawsuit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is just a Tyrone Blackburn novel. I because of the way it's set up. I don't know what the complaint is, and so they may be targeting Fat Joe next. And when I say they, I mean the Southern District of New York. And it seems to me that although Tyrone Blackburn's clients don't seem to do very well with their lawsuits, the lawsuits themselves, as we can see in the Sean Combs case, a lot of information is extracted from them and used as material to bring in a grand jury to indict the defendant. Right? So, because we know Little Rod's lawsuit was referred to many times thus far in this Sean Combs case on trial. So maybe that's what this is, because other than that, it doesn't make any sense. If Diva doesn't get paid at work, why am I filing a lawsuit about Diva not getting paid? It doesn't make sense on the basic level. But if we look at the Tyrone Blackburn template and how he moves, maybe he's getting paid by the Southern District of New York, much like who was it? The GOAT diva, Tony Busby. Yeah,
Tony Busby. And listen, he went dark, didn't he?
He sure did, because he ain't got that money. He's scared. And that's another thing. Fat Joe, if you're listening, you better go hire Alex Spiro, because they will take you in if you up next, sir. I'm done.
Well, he got Joe Tacopina. He in good hands.
Oh, okay.
He in good hands. Because Joe said he said pretty much what you said. It's a Tyrone Blackburn special, and we ain't doing it. Wayne, your thoughts?
I won't pass no judgment because I don't know if this happened. Because when we get some of these cases and hear about them, and the first thing they need to go to jail. They did this, and then when you come to find out that they didn't do anything wrong, or they were set up, or they're innocent, and then you feel bad. However, if it's true, and with these girls like 15 years old, this may not sound right, but I think that the mama or one of the parents is complicit. Because you have a 15-year-old, you should know where they're at.
Come on now.
9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, midnight. I'll give you that. You should know where your children are. You should be able to pick your phone up and say, Diva, where you at? What time you got a curfew, you got to be about this time. But if you got a child that's out there, ain't coming home, 15 years old, staying out, and with somebody that has money, only I can think of it's complicit. The child is bringing some money home, some money to mama. I hate to say it like that, but that's the only reason I can think, because I know my daughter, my son, they was never out like that. I knew what my kids were. But you have a 15-year-old and you don't know where they are. You're not on the phone calling, oh, I have a 15-year-old and she's not home. So I think we need to look at some of these parents on their children. Because the same thing with R. Kelly. The parents brought some of them kids to R. Kelly. So I think, I'm not saying this guy didn't do this. I don't know. I would have to wait if he go to court and there's some more information and stuff like that. But I don't even want to develop an opinion, because I'd be feeling bad after I found out, oh, wow, they didn't do all that. Or come to find out that somebody like Cassie, I thought she was like, I'm not saying sweet, but when I heard of a video of her, it was like night and day. I'm like, oh my God. And now I'm feeling like, oh, well, this, that, and come to find out she's for the street. She's just as nasty. So, I think that parents, if the parents need to, know where their kids at all times. I don't care if they if they say, well, Mom, I'm with the millionaire, oh, okay, sweetie. Let me know when you're coming home. No, you with, well, how is this person you with? Who you talking to? You need to know that. You need to know where your kids at, who they hanging around with, their friends, their mamas, their daddies. Because I knew. I went to the house. I go to people's houses. So they got to do a better job. You just can't let your kids going out just because somebody is famous and you think, oh, okay, there's so and so. It'll be okay. No, that's it.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you.
Diva, I think they need to bring that commercial back with the little girl on the little red tricycle. And then the commercial used to say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? I don't know if I remember that commercial, but I guess I'm old. But it
Yeah.
used to be a commercial that used to pop up at 10 o'clock. And the little person, the people would say, but it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
No,
And the little girl be riding on the tricycle.
I remember the commercial. But you know what? A lot of people stream now. But there's a lot of things that they definitely need to go back to because it's just crazy. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they're selling their souls for a lifestyle. Because like you said, like if I'm not home at night, obviously if I had to tell my parent I'm somewhere. But the bigger picture with this is one woman, Joe said, is claiming she don't even know Fat Joe. And the other one is saying I ain't got no problem with Fat Joe. So why is Tyrone allowed to even put these people in this particular lawsuit? And if this man saw minors being violated, just like what is her daughter name, Dawn Richard, you saw a bus of minors come up. They were looking for the minors. Why didn't the prosecution, the government, ask about the minors she saw? It's the foolery. So I'm going to go ahead and roll into this last story, which is very sad. This father was convicted of, starving his daughter to death. Let me share a screen.
Found Rodney McQuay guilty in all charges in relation to the murder of his daughter, Treasure. The verdict was read less than 15 minutes ago. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart has the latest now from the Fulton County Courthouse. Kevin, a lot happening right now, so fill us in.
Yeah, the jury was just excused after the jury's verdict was read, like you said, just about 15 minutes ago. This case is a tragedy happening back in December of 2023. Treasure McQuaid ended up at the hospital, died of a cardiac arrest because, as testimony was released, she died because her body just gave out. Rodney McQuaid, 32 years old. His defense attorney tried to paint the picture of him as a struggling dad, but the jury just didn't buy that. That verdict, as you mentioned, coming down about 15 minutes ago. He was guilty on all counts: malice murder, felony murder, cruelty to children, first degree, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and more. We understand the sentencing is going to take place not today, but within the next 30 days. We're going to try to see if we can talk to prosecutors, but for now, we're live in downtown Atlanta at the Fulton County Courthouse. Kevin Stewart, Fox 5 News.
All right, Kevin, breaking news there, and we'll check in with you soon. Thank you.
Let me share screen again. So a Georgia father convicted of starving a 4-year-old daughter to death in a house of horrors. Treasure McQuay weighed only 24 pounds at her death. A Georgia father has been found guilty of starving his 4-year-old daughter to death. On June 19, Rodney, a father of 3 from Atlanta, was convicted of unaliving his daughter just before Christmas in 2023 through starvation. The Fox 5 Atlanta reported. Rodney, 32, was found guilty of 14 total felonies related to kidnapping of his children and his daughter murder, per CBS affiliate. The charges included 1 count of malice murder and 1 count of felony murder, 3 counts of cruelty to children in the first degree, 3 counts of forced imprisonment, 3 counts of contributing to the dependency of a minor, and 3 counts of kidnapping. Rodney, 3 children, including Treasure McQuarrie, 4, have been removed from his custody in June 2023 due to unsanitary, moldy living conditions, Fox 5 reported. Prosecutors allege he kidnapped his children back from their mother and held the children in captivity in what they called a house of horrors. While living at Ronnie's home, investigators said the children were kept in locked separate rooms without food or water, were monitored through cameras, and weren't allowed out to use the bathroom, per Fox News. Rodney's neighbor, Quashia, often heard screams or crying from Rodney's apartment and contacted Georgia's Division of Family and Children's Services, though the agency was unable to reach the family prior to Treasure's death, according to 11 Alive. Likewise, law enforcement's attempts to check on the children had failed, which is ridiculous.
Has found a father accused of starving his 4-year-old daughter to death, guilty on all charges. Treasure McQuay died back in December 2023. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us here for Fox 5 News at 6. I'm Tom Haynes, and for Russ Spencer.
I'm Courtney Bryant. With this guilty verdict, Rodney McQuay faces multiple life sentences. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart is live from the Fulton County Courthouse in downtown Atlanta with tonight's developments. Kevin?
Yeah, the jury listened to 7 days worth of testimony. It took them just under 4 hours over the course of 2 days to come up with a verdict. A quick verdict indeed, but keep in mind, the defense put up no witnesses.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of malice murder.
Swaying in his chair, Rodney McQuay learns his fate.
Guilty of felony murder.
Guilty on all counts, more than a dozen of them.
Guilty of cruelty to children.
And with that, Rodney McQuay is cuffed and headed to jail to await a decision on his prison sentence. He is facing a max of 4 life sentences plus 112 years in prison.
We protect the most vulnerable, children, people with disabilities, and that's our job, and we're going to do that.
McQuay's daughter, Treasure, only 4 years old, died at Children's Hospital just weeks before Christmas back in December 2023. Doctors testified she died of cardiac arrest due to malnutrition.
You don't accidentally starve a 4-year-old to death. It takes time. There's testimony that it took weeks to months to do this.
In June 2023, DFACS removed this little girl and her 2 brothers from their father's Bakers Hill home in far southwest Atlanta, only for him to kidnap them from their mother in Maryland the next month. Testimony revealed how McQuay, a single dad, turned down help multiple times from neighbors and family.
I understand a lot of parents struggle, a lot of families struggle with challenges with housing and lack of resources, but this defendant had resources. He had people in the community doing what we want our community to do, to reach out and help, and he just wouldn't take it.
You know, one thing that's also worth noting here is that McQuay had a deal on the table, but he chose to reject it. His sentencing date is June 30th. Going live from downtown Atlanta, Kevin Stewart, Fox 5.
So sad. Police found Treasure unresponsible in his house residence days before Christmas, 11 Alive reported, along with her 2 brothers. Treasure was taken to a hospital where she was later pronounced dead. Treasure's cause of death was determined to be cardiac arrest caused by long-term malnutrition. Dr. Kaylee testified at the time of her death, the 4-year-old weighed just 24 pounds. Earlier in the trial, Robert's defense attorney told the court his client admitted he made some wrong decisions when it came to the children's mother, but never intended to hurt the kids. Rodney's sentencing will be held in 30 days. Rodney previously rejected a 75-year plea deal and thus could face multiple life sentences. Oh, God. Savannah, your thoughts?
You know, these cases get more and more frequent, and it's unfortunate that it seems to be evil just rearing its ugly head. I can't tell you how many cases I've watched this year on Law and Crime Network of parents starving their children, and I don't understand why you would bring a life into this world to just mistreat it and not nurture it or feed it. And some of these parents, they receive benefits for these children, and they still show no regard. Because this baby, the 4-year-old that unfortunately passed, had less than an ounce of water in her whole body. The medical examiner only could find an ounce of water in her whole body and no food in her system. And this man, or this monster, had the children for over a year out from the kidnapping. And I struggled why the mother didn't, or even the mother's family. So where's the village? Why weren't they there? Because there was 3 children that he was abusing, neglecting, starving, um, and just the baby was the worst one. So there's a failure all across here, from the system to the families, to the neighbors. And I think that, thank goodness that the 2 were able, and I hope that they're in loving, supporting homes, and not back with the family at all. I don't think I think this should be a straight death penalty case, and I'm not one that believes in death penalty, but and I'm glad he didn't claim mental illness, because I was waiting for that.
Mhm.
So it's just unfortunate. I just think this should have been a straight death penalty case.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Katrina, your thoughts?
My thoughts is why there wasn't an Amber Alert. If he kidnapped those kids from Maryland, and you know he kidnapped them, why didn't they put out an Amber Alert? They know what he looked like, and for him to be living with these kids after they've been kidnapped for a year, and nobody put no pictures up saying the kids was missing. They had no pictures of him out there saying that he's kidnapped these kids. And then when the lady tells the Department of Human Services that she hears something over there, they don't even check. They somebody they came too late. They didn't have the resources, or they didn't show up. So, and the fact of the matter is, if you was gonna do this, then you had cameras in these children's room. So, what was you really doing in there? What was you really doing to these kids? And then to get the kids out there, you could have went to the food bank. The churches give food. You can go anywhere to get food for kids or for yourself. You can go to the food pantry. There's plenty of food around there. What were you doing with those children? And why you had cameras on them watching them like that anyway? He's a nut. And now the thing about it is, why is he getting food in prison? He don't need no food. The kids didn't have no food. Do him the same way and see how he like. Let him die a slow dying death of not eating anything. Do him the same way he did those children, because it's just ridiculous and pathetic. And I still don't understand why they didn't do an Amber Alert if he kidnapped those kids from Maryland, and why these kids have not been found a year later. This is ridiculous and pathetic, and the system is messed the heck up that he got away with these kids. And then, where's the mom? You ain't do enough for me. You didn't do, if you wanted your children back, you didn't go out, you didn't look, you didn't go to the police, you didn't do none of this. You're not getting no pass either. She need to be held up, because there's no way that anybody finna kidnap my children. And I know what they look like. I ain't got no Amber Alert out there. I'm not there searching. There's no heckin' way that I'm finna let my children go, knowing that I knew this man is not mentally sound, because something is definitely wrong with him. You can look at him and see something is wrong with him. And the thing of it is, I blame the system, I blame the mama, and I blame everything else, because these kids could not be gone through what they went through. And that's just a damn, I mean, that's just a darn mistake. I'm done. I'm done.
Thank you. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, in Katrina's words, this is sad on so many levels.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is that it can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days or more to die from starvation. With severe health complications, it can arrive much sooner, within a couple of weeks. And however, I don't think this was 2 weeks of suffering. It's so sad that this little angel had to be alone for days and days and days at a time, knowing that nobody cares about her. It is, somebody just said in the comments, this is one of the worst ways. This young child died in agony and pain. Talking about suffering. Dogs don't even suffer like that. I don't understand how, if this man kidnapped these kids, the mom should have been on the phone. My children have been kidnapped. They could have had a trail, followed and got those kids back or done something. Why wouldn't the mother do that? You know, and usually when people, I'll say men on this, when they do stuff like that, when it's a relationship like this and they're mad at the woman, I'm talking about really definitely mad, they want to take everything away from that woman that they gave them. Even the children. I know what I'm talking about because I know a family that exact same thing happened. He drugged his kids. He threw one in the pond. Little girl, 2 years old. Two of the sons in the back of his truck, like the cab, and pulled out on I-4 in front of a tractor trailer. And the only reason one of the children, the little boy, lived because he was drugged up. That's the only thing I could see that he felt, I'm going to take everything from you that I gave you. And that's probably, that could be the most hurtful thing, is to take your children and unalive them. I'm done.
Thank you. Felicia, your thoughts?
And Diva, I can't. I'm too sad. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I totally understand. Listen, guys, it's rough. It's a sad story. It is. I do feel like there's some unanswered questions because he kidnapped them, but they was with him for a year. The neighbors did the best they could do. They called. They talking about we didn't get there on time and all this other nonsense. It's really sad. And the mental illness is real. I don't know what else to say about that. Listen, guys, tonight's topic was called Men. Beware, watch out. And I don't understand. I think the courts and the legal system, they need to tighten this thing up. Because I don't understand how Tyrone Blackburn could put out a lawsuit and then naming people and talking about situations, and that's not even the person that's suing. Listen, guys, y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, do me a favor, hit it on the way out. Diva's got a few days left. I want to hit 50K this month. You got to have goals. So if you're not a subscriber, do me a favor and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo choo.